new prisoners are brought to Shawshank State Penitentiary.
Smoke's a coin. Better's choice. Smoke.
The prisoners place bets on who they think will break first. Red chooses the tall banker, Andy Dufresne.
Lights out!
Red loses the bet, however, as another prisoner starts crying to go home and ends up getting beaten to death by the captain of the guards. Andy never breaks. Red realizes pretty quickly that there is something different about Andy Dufresne.
He had a quiet way about him. A walk and a talk that just wasn't normal around here. He strolled like a man in a park without a care or worry in the world. Like he had on an invisible coat that would shield him from this place.
The thing that everybody remembers about Shawshank Redemption is how Andy escapes at the end of the movie, and how much of a surprise it is. But the movie up until that point hasn't been an escape from prison movie. At least not in the traditional sense. It is more about escaping mentally, spiritually, from a horrible situation and finding hope, even when physically Andy is experiencing rape, brutal beatings, and solitary confinement. Even in these horrible conditions, Andy never seems to lose hope.
Oh, here she is. Shawshank Prison Library.
We learn about Brooks, who spends 50 years in prison before he is paroled. And when he finally is released, he doesn't know what to do with himself. He has become institutionalized and hopeless. Now, the outside world seems more like a prison and frightens him to death.
Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. It's got no use on the inside. You better get used to that idea.
Like Brooks did?
Instead of becoming institutionalized, Andy changes the institution. When the captain of the guard is complaining about being taxed on an inheritance, Andy risks his life by approaching him and offering his professional advice. In return for his services, he asks for some beers for his friends. He takes nothing for himself.
I think he did it just to feel normal again. If only for a short while.
Later, when a guard takes a toilet break and leaves Andy alone, instead of doing something only for himself, he takes the opportunity to play music for the entire prison.
It was like some beautiful bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest of moments, every last man at Shawshank felt free.
Andy is, of course, punished.
Was it worth it? 2 weeks in the hall?
Easiest time I ever did.
But he says it was easy because he had Mozart with him.
That's right.
I had Mr. Mozart to keep me company.
So they let you tote that record player down there, huh?
It was in here. In here. That's the beauty of music. They can't get that from you.
We realize one of the things that sets Andy apart is that his happiness,
Haven't you ever felt that way about music?
his music, comes from within.
I played a mean harmonica as a younger man. Lost interest in it, though. Didn't make much sense in here.
Here's where it makes the most sense. You need it so you don't forget.
Using his knowledge and banking abilities, Andy moves up in status by helping prison guards with their taxes, and eventually finds a way to expand the prison library and bring music to the other inmates.
Slaughter don't know what to do.
It's very pretty, Andy.
Andy is physically in the prison,
Thank you.
but the prison isn't inside of him.
You gonna play it?
Red, on the other hand, has lost his inner music. He has lost his hope.
Not right now.
The main antagonist of the story is the warden.
Turn around and face the ward.
who sees himself more as a god than a mere warden.
Pleased to see you reading this. I'm the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life.
John chapter 8, verse 12.
But this God has fallen from heaven. He uses the prisoners, Andy included, in money laundering schemes. And when a new inmate arrives that has evidence of Andy's innocence, the warden has him shot. The devil can cite scripture for his purpose. William Shakespeare.
I almost forgot. I'd hate to deprive you of this. Salvation lies within.
The irony of this statement is revealed later when we realize that Andy was hiding his rock hammer inside his Bible, which led to his escape. There is another meaning to salvation lies within, and it is the theme of the movie. Andy had hope within his soul. His music could not be taken from him, and because he was already free spiritually, his physical surroundings would eventually find a way to come into harmony with his belief. Salvation lies within.
I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged.
When Red finally makes parole, he is physically released from prison, but his mind and his spirit are still there. He has trouble adjusting to the outside world. He has a choice. He can follow the path that Brooks took, or he can follow the path that Andy took. Andy made Red promise that if he ever got out of Shawshank, there would be something waiting for him beneath a special rock by a stone wall by a tree. As he finds that tree and rock wall, we hear harmonica music playing for the first time. Red's music has returned.
I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
The prison could be seen as a metaphor for the world and the walls that keep us from being free. We may not like what we have to pass through, but if we keep our dreams alive within us, we cannot be contained.
Andy Dufresne, who crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side. Andy Dufresne, headed for the Pacific.
It's taken us on a really complete journey, hasn't it? It's gone from a place of complete hopelessness to a place of nothing but hope. It's taken us from gray, enclosed circumstances to a place where there are no walls and the horizons are limitless. From total lack of color to this incredible, beautiful color.
There's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch. It's yours.
Salvation lies within. And that is the moral of this story.